You're watching Cold Blood Empire original story. They said the Alpha King ruled wolves, but failed women. Not in council chambers, not where power could answer back. They said it in kitchens while kneading bread, in washrooms while scrubbing ceremonial robes, in the quiet places where Omegas learned what to fear. He commands armies, they whispered, but cannot stir passion. He conquered territories, they murmured, but lost the only battle that happens behind closed doors. The story never changed much, only details, enough repetition to make rumor feel like truth. His former intended Luna had left. That part was fact. Everything else was interpretation disguised as kindness. Do not expect fire, the older woman warned Sabrina Morris when the council decree arrived. Expect duty, expect survival. Sabrina listened. Omegas learned early that listening kept you safe, but it also taught you something else. People feared what they did not understand, so they invented stories to make that fear smaller. Across the Great Hall, the day she first saw him, Alpha King Lorenzo Spears stood like authority given form, broad shoulders beneath ceremonial black, silver chain resting against his chest, eyes dark and unreadable. He did not look at her like a man who could not desire. He looked at her like a man who would not rush. And somehow, that unsettled her more than any rumor ever had, because the pack expected coldness, distance, obligation. But Sabrina Morris had learned something during her 23 years of listening. Expectations were just another kind of cage, and cages could be unlocked from the inside. This is the story of the night when whispered warnings met quiet truth. The night an Alpha King proved that restraint is not the same as inability, and the night Sabrina Morris learned exactly what that meant. Hey, quick question, how are you feeling right now? Thank you so much for being here. It really means the world to me. I'm working toward 10,000 subscribers, and if this story is already pulling at you, please hit subscribe for Cold Blood Empire, smash the like button, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. It helps more than you know. All right. Now let's go back to the moment she was warned not to expect passion. Chapter 1. The Spears Pack territory stretched across valleys most wolves never saw in their lifetimes. Ancient stone halls carved from mountainsides. Rivers that ran cold even in summer. Forests so dense that sunlight arrived in fragments. Power lived here, old power, the kind that did not need to announce itself. Sabrina Morris arrived on a morning when mist clung to everything like a second skin. The council escort, 3 stern-faced wolves who barely spoke, led her through corridors lined with tapestries depicting battles won and territories claimed. Every image showed Lorenzo Spears at the center, commanding, victorious, unmerciful to enemies. None showed him smiling. The Omega quarters sat in the eastern wing, far from the Alpha's chambers but close enough to the Great Hall that summons could be answered quickly. Sabrina's assigned room held simple furniture, a narrow bed, a wooden chest, a window that overlooked training grounds, where young wolves sparred under the watchful eyes of their instructors. She had barely set down her single travel bag when the door opened. No knock, just presence. Bianca Gentry entered first, blonde hair pulled back severely, expression neutral. She carried folded linens and moved with the efficiency of someone who had done this many times before. Behind her came Marisol Rivera, darker hair, warmer eyes, but the same careful posture, the same measured steps. Sabrina Morris? Bianca's voice carried no particular emotion, just confirmation. Yes. We are assigned to prepare you for the mating ceremony, 3 days from now. Bianca set the linens on the chest. Do you have questions about protocol? Sabrina had 1,000 questions. She asked the safest one. What should I expect? Marisol and Bianca exchanged a glance, the kind of glance that said entire conversations without words. The ceremony itself is traditional, Marisol said carefully. Public vows before the pack, exchange of ceremonial items, the bonding marks presented afterward. And then? Sabrina kept her voice steady. Another glance. Then you retire to the private chambers, Bianca said, with Alpha King Lorenzo, the way she said his name. Not cruel, not mocking, just empty, like saying winter or stone. or any other fact that could not be changed. The Alpha King is a good leader, fair, just. He will provide for you, protect you. But? Sabrina heard the unspoken word. But nothing, Bianca said too quickly. You will be well cared for. Well cared for, like a garden, or livestock. I heard his previous intended Luna left. The silence that followed felt heavy enough to crack stone. She did, Marisol finally admitted. Before the bonding was complete. Why? Bianca's jaw tightened. That is not discussed. Because it is shameful or because it is complicated? Marisol looked at her with something almost like respect. Both, perhaps. They left soon after, taking their careful words and loaded silences with them. But their warning remained clear. Lower your expectations. Duty matters more than desire. Survival is enough. Sabrina sat on the narrow bed and looked out the window at the training grounds, at wolves who fought with passion and fury and purpose. And she wondered how a leader could command all of that but fail at intimacy, unless the failure was not his at all. That evening, Sabrina ate in the communal dining hall, long tables filled with wolves of every rank. She sat with Lillian Patterson and Kinley Armstrong, two Omegas close to her age. You are the new intended Luna, Lillian said. Not a question. Everyone knew. Kinley leaned closer, voice dropping. Are you frightened? Should I be? No. The Alpha King is not cruel. He is not violent. He is just distant, like ice. Beautiful to look at but impossible to hold. Someone told me he cannot please a mate, that the intimacy is lacking. Both women looked uncomfortable. It is not spoken of directly, Lillian whispered. But yes, his former intended left because he could not satisfy her needs. She expected fire and received stone. How do you know? Everyone knows, Kinley said. It is simply understood. Sabrina wanted to ask how something could be simply understood without anyone confirming it. But she recognized the pattern now. Whispers building on whispers until they become foundations. Across the dining hall, near the head table, she saw him, Alpha King Lorenzo Spears. He sat alone at the end, despite being surrounded by council members and advisors. He did not eat much, did not laugh at jokes, did not participate in loud conversations. He simply existed, controlled, contained. And when his gaze swept across the hall and found hers for one brief moment, Sabrina felt something unexpected. Not fear, not disappointment, but curiosity is sharp enough to ache, because his eyes did not look empty. They looked patient. Chapter 2. The next morning brought formal introductions. Council Elder Thaddeus Kane spoke of tradition and duty. Beta Callan Christensen explained logistics and protocol. Head Omega Caroline Lambert offered practical advice about navigating pack politics. Lorenzo himself did not appear. The Alpha King is occupied with border negotiations, Thaddeus explained. He will meet with you privately tomorrow. That afternoon, Caroline Lambert invited Sabrina to walk the gardens. Stone paths wound between winter-hardy plants and frozen fountains. You have questions about the Alpha King, Caroline said, not asking, knowing. About why the rumors persist. Caroline was quiet for long enough that Sabrina thought she might not answer. Then she sighed. I do not know the truth of his private matters. No one does. But I know this. The pack repeats what it needs to believe. Why would they need to believe he fails at intimacy? Because it is easier to accept a powerful alpha who fails at intimacy than to question why his previous intended truly left. Caroline paused. Ask him yourself when you meet. You deserve answers from the source, not from echoes. That evening, Marisol Rivera returned to Sabrina's room. But instead of simply delivering ceremonial fabrics, she closed the door and sat down. I need to tell you something. Bianca would scold me for speaking. But you should know before you bind yourself. Sabrina's heartbeat quickened. Know what? The truth about Luna Hazley Quintero. She did leave, but not because Lorenzo failed her. She left because he refused her. Refused her what? Everything she demanded. Hazley wanted dominance, control. She wanted Lorenzo to claim her roughly, without question, without hesitation. She wanted him to take what an alpha king is entitled to take. And he would not? He would not take without freely giving consent. He wanted partnership. She wanted conquest. When he refused to dominate her the way she demanded, she claimed he was incapable of passion altogether. Sabrina sat back, mind racing. So the rumors are her version of events, shaped to protect her pride. Lorenzo never corrected them, never defended himself. He simply let her leave and absorbed the damage to his reputation. Why? Because defending himself would have meant exposing her lies publicly, and he is too controlled for that kind of spectacle. Marisol stood. I tell you this because you deserve to know what kind of male you are binding yourself to. Not the rumor, the reality. She left before Sabrina could respond, and Sabrina sat in the growing darkness, rearranging everything she thought she understood. The next evening, Lorenzo summoned her to a private study where fire crackled in a stone hearth and books lined walls like quiet witnesses. He stood when she entered. Sabrina Morris, please sit. Up close, Lorenzo was even more imposing, not through aggression, through sheer density of presence. You have questions, he said. I can see them. I was told that you are cold, that the intimacy of bonding is something you struggle with. Lorenzo nodded once. You were told correctly that there are such rumors, but rumors are not true. Then what is the truth? The truth is that I require consent. Real consent. Freely given. Not because it is expected. Not because it is owed. His dark eyes held hers, and some people mistake that requirement for weakness. Your previous intention wanted you to take it without asking. She wanted conquest. When I refused, she shaped a different story, one that allowed her to leave without admitting we were simply incompatible. And you let her? I saw no point in correcting public opinion. Those who matter know the truth. Those who do not, their beliefs do not concern me. Silence settled between them, waited with things unsaid. Why are you telling me this? Because in 3 days, you will be bound to me, and you should know what you are choosing. His gaze never wavered. I am not cold, Sabrina Morris. I am controlled. There is a difference. Her name in his voice sounded like a promise. And if I asked you to prove it? Something shifted in his expression. Not hunger exactly, but acknowledgement. Then I would wait until you asked me again when you truly meant it. That answer told her everything she needed to know. Chapter 3. 2 days before the ceremony, Beta Callan Christensen approached Sabrina after an evening meal. Walk with me. Outside in the corridor, away from listening ears, Callan spoke bluntly. You met with Lorenzo last night. Do you believe him? I believe he had no reason to lie. I have served Lorenzo for 7 years. I have seen him in battle, in council, negotiating with enemies. I have never seen him take what was not offered. Not once. Then why do the rumors persist? Because the pack needs simple stories. A powerful alpha who fails at intimacy is simple. Powerful alpha who requires authentic consent is complicated. What can you tell me about him? Things that are not rumors? Callan smiled slightly. He reads philosophy, hates loud celebrations, prefers honesty to flattery. Remember every promise he makes. And he has been alone for 3 years because he refused to settle for less than genuine partnership. Did he care for Hazley? I think he cared for the idea of what they could have built. But no, he did not love her. Their bonding was arranged by council politics, not choice. Like hers. Why are you telling me this? Because he will not speak for himself. The pack believes Lorenzo is incapable of passion. They are wrong. He is incapable of false passion. There is a difference. The morning before the ceremony, Sabrina woke to find a package outside her door. Inside lay a book. Old leather binding, pages worn soft from reading. A note in bold, precise handwriting. Partnership requires understanding. Perhaps this helps, LS. The book was philosophy. Ancient teachings about strength and restraint, about choosing when to act versus when to wait. Every page held small marks, underlined passages, notes in margins, proof that Lorenzo had not just read this book, but lived inside its lessons. One passage was marked heavier than the rest. True strength is not the absence of desire, but the presence of choice. Sabrina read until sunlight slanted low through her window, and with every page, she understood more about the male she would bind to tomorrow. He was not cold. He was careful. He was not incapable. He was intentional. And somehow, that precision felt more intimate than any rushed passion could have been. That afternoon, Caroline Lambert arrived with Bianca and Marisol to begin ceremony preparations. They described the ritual step by step. The public vows, the exchange of ancestral items, the ceremonial wine, the witnessing by pack leadership. And then you retire to the private bonding chamber, Caroline said. What happens there is between mates. Bianca spoke up quietly. You may find Lorenzo reserved. Do not take it as rejection. Reserved how? He will not rush, will not demand. Some Omegas find that disappointing. Sabrina thought about the book, about control as strength. Maybe measured passion burns longer than fierce flames. All three women looked at her with surprise. That, Caroline said softly, is a wise observation. That evening, Sabrina requested an audience with Lorenzo. His response came quickly. My study. Sunset. She arrived to find him standing by the window, watching darkness creep across the valley. He turned but did not approach, keeping distance, giving her space. Thank you for the book. Did it help? It explained to you. The pack thinks you are cold because you do not rush. They mistake patience for inability. Something shifted in his expression. Approval, recognition. And you? What do you think? I think that tomorrow night, when the ceremonial doors close and the pack stops watching, I will finally learn who you truly are. Lorenzo's jaw tightened slightly. The first crack in his controlled exterior. Sabrina closed the distance between them, close enough to feel warmth radiating from his body. I do not think it will disappoint me. For a long moment, Lorenzo simply looked at her, not touching, not speaking. Then he lifted one hand slowly, giving her every opportunity to retreat, and brushed his fingers against her cheek. Tomorrow, when those doors close, I will show you the difference between taking and being given. From the restraint coiling in every controlled muscle, Sabrina believed him. From the way he pulled his hand back before the touch could deepen, leaving her wanting more, she understood. He was teaching her what anticipation felt like. Chapter 4. The morning of the ceremony arrived with frost on windows and nervous energy crackling through the pack house. Sabrina woke early, stomach tight with anticipation that felt nothing like fear. The preparation took hours. Bathing in ceremonial herbs, hair arranged in traditional Omega braids woven with silver thread, the bonding gown white fabric that flowed like water, cut to reveal the shoulder where Lorenzo's mark would eventually rest. Marisol entered carrying the final element, a thin circlet of silver. This belonged to Lorenzo's mother. He requested you to wear it. His mother? She passed away when he was young. He keeps very few of her belongings. Offering this is significant. When Sabrina looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Not because she looked different, but because she looked like someone capable of standing beside an alpha king, like someone who could demand respect, not just receive it. The great hall had been transformed. Winter branches woven with silver ribbons, candles everywhere. The entire pack gathered hundreds of wolves filling every available space. At the far end, before the ceremonial arch, Lorenzo waited. He wore a ceremonial black, silver chain visible at his throat, the Alpha King's crown resting heavily on his dark hair. When Sabrina entered, guided by Council Elder Thaddeus Kane, every eye turned, but she only saw Lorenzo, and the way his controlled expression slipped for just one moment. The way his dark eyes widened, the way his chest rose with a deeper breath. The walk down the central aisle felt endless. Every step is measured, every whisper from the pack pressing against her awareness. She is lovely. Poor thing. She does not know yet. At least Lorenzo will treat her well, even if he cannot. Sabrina lifted her chin and walked faster. Let them whisper. Tomorrow they would learn how wrong they had been. She reached the ceremonial arch. Lorenzo extended his hand. When her fingers touched his, heat sparked between them. Council Elder Thaddeus began the traditional ceremony. Ancient words about bloodlines and duty and pack strength. Sabrina barely heard them. All her awareness focused on Lorenzo's hand holding hers. On the way, his thumb brushed once across her knuckles, too subtle for anyone else to notice. A deliberate touch. A choice. Do you, Lorenzo Spears, accept Sabrina Morris as mate and Luna, to honor and protect, to lead beside, to bind in body and spirit? I do. His voice carried through the hall. Absolute. Unwavering. Do you, Sabrina Morris, accept Lorenzo Spears as mate and alpha, to honor and support, to stand beside, to bind in body and spirit? She met his eyes. I saw patience, saw something deeper that the pack could not comprehend. I do. The ceremonial wine was brought forward. They drank from the same cup, first Lorenzo, then Sabrina. Sharing taste, symbolic unity. Then Lorenzo removed a bracelet from his pocket. Silver, ancient, delicate. This belonged to my grandmother, and her grandmother before her. I offer it as a symbol of bloodlines joining. He clasped it around Sabrina's wrist. The metal warmed immediately against her skin. Thaddeus raised both hands. Witnessed by pack and ancestors, I declare this bonding sealed. What remains is the private claim. May it bring strength to our bloodlines. The pack erupted in ceremonial howls, but Sabrina noticed the whispers beneath the noise. Now comes the difficult part. Poor girl, she looks so hopeful. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. He heard them too, but instead of reacting, he simply turned to Sabrina and offered his arm. Shall we? They walked together through the parted pack. Down corridors that grew quieter with each step. Away from witnessing eyes and loaded expectations. Toward the private bonding chamber where truth would finally matter more than rumor. The bonding chamber sat in the highest tower of the pack house, accessible only by a single stone staircase. Lorenzo opened the door and gestured for Sabrina to enter first. She stepped into the firelight and shadows, into a room designed for intimacy, a large bed draped in dark fabric, windows showing starlight, air scented with pine and something warmer. The door closed behind them with a soft, final sound, and suddenly they were alone, truly alone. Sabrina turned to find Lorenzo watching her. Still controlled, still measured, but his eyes burned. Are you afraid? No. Good. Lorenzo moved closer, not crowded, just reducing distance. The pack expects this to be quick, efficient, disappointing. What do you expect? I expect to learn what pleases you. Not to assume, not to demand, to discover. His voice dropped lower. That could take all night. I have waited 3 years for someone who wanted discovery instead of conquest. I am in no rush. He reached up slowly and removed the crown from his head, set it aside, symbolically shedding rank, becoming just Lorenzo, just a male who wanted his mate to choose him. His fingers found the silver circlet in her hair, gentle, asking permission with the gesture. She nodded. He removed it carefully, setting it beside his crown. Then his hands framed her face, warm palms against her cheeks, thumbs brushing her jawline. No one has seen me like this, without armor. You are the first. Then he waited, did not kiss her, did not pull her close, just held her face gently and waited for her to close the distance. So she did. Before we step behind those ceremonial doors, if you're rooting for Sabrina already, please subscribe to Cold Blood Empire, hit the like button, and comment one word describing how you feel right now. All right, let's see what happens when no one is watching. Chapter 5. The kiss started gently, testing, learning the shape and taste of each other. Then Sabrina's hand slid up Lorenzo's chest, feeling solid muscle beneath ceremonial fabric, feeling his heart pounding despite his controlled exterior, and gripped his shoulders. He angled his head and took the kiss deeper. His tongue swept against hers, claiming her mouth with slow, devastating thoroughness. One hand tangled in her braided hair, while the other splayed across her lower back, pressing her body flush against his. When she felt the hard length of him against her belly, undeniable proof that the pack had been wrong, she gasped into his mouth. When they finally broke apart, both breathing like they had been running, Lorenzo's laugh was dark and full of promise. The pack is about to be proven spectacularly wrong. He stepped back and removed his ceremonial jacket with deliberate slowness. Every movement is controlled but charged with intention. The fabric revealed the simple shirt beneath, stretched tight across his chest and arms. His hands went to her laces. His fingers trembled slightly, the first crack in his perfect control. "Once we begin, Sabrina, I will not want to stop. I have thought about this about you every night since you arrived. I have imagined what you might taste like, sounds like, feel like." The raw honesty sent liquid heat pooling low in her belly. "Then stop holding back," she whispered. Something in him snapped, not violently, but decisively. His hands worked her laces loose with surprising speed. The gown slipped, pooled at her feet, leaving her in nothing but thin undergarments. Lorenzo's breath stopped. His eyes traced every curve, every line. "You are perfect, absolutely perfect." Then his hands were on her, skimming up her sides, thumbs brushing the undersides of her breasts through fabric, testing. Learning what made her gasp, Sabrina arched into his touch, shameless. "More. Greedy. I like that." He lifted her hands, gripping her thighs, her legs wrapping instinctively around his waist, and carried her to the bed. Laid her down with a gentleness that contrasted sharply with the hunger blazing in his eyes. Then he stepped back and removed his shirt in one smooth motion. Sabrina's mouth went dry, broad shoulders, defined chest and abdomen, scars mapping a life spent protecting his pack, power held in check by will alone. He was magnificent. "Your turn." He hooked his fingers in her undergarments and waited. Permission. Always permission. She lifted her hips. He removed them slowly. When she lay completely bare before him, Lorenzo made a sound low in his throat. "I am going to worship you, every single inch, until you forget every doubt you ever had." Then he proved it. Lorenzo started at her ankles, pressing kisses to delicate bones, working his way up her calves with lips and teeth, taking his time, building anticipation until Sabrina was trembling. "Lorenzo, patience. We have all night." His mouth moved higher, kisses scattered across her thighs, getting closer to where she needed him but never quite reaching. Sabrina's hands fisted in the bedding. "Please, tell me what you want. I need to hear you say it. Touch me. Stop teasing." "Where?" His fingers traced patterns dangerously close, but not close enough. "Here?" He brushed her hip bone. "Or here?" His thumb pressed against her inner thigh. "You know where. I want to hear you say it. Touch me between my thighs. Please, Lorenzo." He finally gave her what she needed. His fingers slid through slick heat, and Sabrina cried out at the sudden intensity. He stroked once, twice, learning her, finding the place that made her hips jerk off the bed. "Here? Is this where you need me?" "Yes." He worked with her with skilled fingers, building pleasure methodically, watching her face with complete focus, adjusting based on her reactions. When one thick finger pressed inside her, Sabrina's entire body jolted. "Easy. Relax for me. Let me make you feel good." He moved that finger slowly, in and out, curling to stroke places inside her she had never known existed, adding a second finger when her body relaxed, stretching her, preparing her, all while his thumb worked that sensitive place above. Pressure built, coiled tight in her belly. "That is it. I can feel you getting close. Let go for me. I want to feel you fall apart." His fingers curled and stroked, and his thumb pressed firm circles, and Sabrina shattered. The release crashed through her. Her back arched off the bed, her inner walls clenched rhythmically around his fingers. She cried out his name loud enough that anyone passing would hear and did not care. Lorenzo worked her through it, gentling his touch as the waves subsided, pressing soft kisses to her trembling thighs. Beautiful. You are so damned beautiful when you surrender. When Sabrina could focus again, she found him watching her with expressions somewhere between wonder and raw hunger. That was just the first. We are far from finished. Lorenzo stood and removed the rest of his clothes. His hands went to the fastenings of his formal trousers, and Sabrina watched, mesmerized, as he revealed himself completely. Her breath caught. Lorenzo was built like a weapon, all hard muscles and coiled strength. And when her eyes dropped lower, she understood viscerally that he had never lacked for passion. You see, the rumors were lies. Come here, Sabrina demanded. He joined her on the bed. The heat of his bare skin against hers made coherent thought impossible. He settled between her thighs, his weight pressing her into the mattress. He reached between them, positioning himself. The blunt head of him pressed against her entrance, and they both froze. Just feeling. Just existing in that moment of anticipation. Then Lorenzo pushed forward, slow, careful, watching her face for every flicker of discomfort. The stretch was intense. Sabrina gasped, and Lorenzo stopped immediately. Just big, she managed. His laugh was strained. You are not helping my control. Good. I do not want your control. I want you. She wrapped her legs around his waist and pulled him deeper. Lorenzo groaned a sound she felt vibrate through his chest into hers. He sank deeper, inch by devastating inch, pausing when she tensed, giving her body time to adjust. When he was finally seated inside her, they both stopped, just breathing. You feel incredible. Perfect. Move. Please move. He did. Slow at first, withdrawing almost completely before sliding back in. Long, deep strokes that hit places inside her that made stars burst behind her closed eyes. But Sabrina could feel his control fraying, could feel the tension coiling in every muscle. Stop restraining yourself. I want all of you, not the controlled version. Sabrina, I am not fragile. I will not break. Give me everything. His pace increased. Harder, deeper, faster, driving into her with force that should have hurt but instead felt perfect. Lorenzo braced himself on his arms and changed the angle. The next thrust hit something inside her that made her scream. There, right there, do not stop. He pounded into that spot with ruthless precision. One hand gripped her hip hard enough to bruise. His other hand slid between their bodies and found that sensitive place. Come for me again. I want to feel you. Need to feel you. His fingers circled and pressed. His body drove into hers relentlessly. She came apart with a cry that echoed off stone walls. Her entire body convulsed, inner muscles clamping down on him. Lorenzo buried himself deep and groaned her name as his own release took him. She felt him pulse inside her, felt warmth flooding her core, felt him shake with the force of his climax. Then he collapsed on top of her, breathing like he had run for miles. They lay tangled together, skin slick, hearts racing, bodies still joined. And in the silence broken only by ragged breathing, Sabrina understood. Lorenzo's control had never been a weakness. It had been him waiting for someone worth losing it with. Chapter 6. Much later, after their breathing had steadied, Lorenzo shifted to look at her face. Are you hurt? His fingers traced her cheek. I am perfect. You are, and I am never letting you go. Possessive words that made her feel safe, cherished. The bonding mark, he said. We have not completed that part. The mark the alpha's bite that would scar and identify her as his mate permanently. Now, Lorenzo withdrew from her body and repositioned her, pulling her to sit across his lap, arranging her so that her neck was exposed. This will hurt, but only for a moment. And then you will feel the bond snap into place. You will feel everything I feel. His hand cradled the back of her head. Then his mouth descended to the curve where her neck met her shoulder. He kissed that spot first. Then his teeth sank in. Sharp pain lanced through her shoulder. Lorenzo's arms tightened, holding her steady. The pain morphed into something electric, something overwhelming. The bond snapped into place like lightning striking. Suddenly, Sabrina could feel him. not just physically, but emotionally. She felt his fierce protectiveness, his satisfaction, his relief at finally being understood, his love. When Lorenzo pulled back, blood marked his lips. The wound on her shoulder throbbed, but was already healing into a permanent scar. Mine. You are mine, Sabrina Spears. Yours, and you are mine. She felt his surprise through the new bond, so she bit him. Not with alpha strength, but with omega determination. Her human teeth could not break skin the way he had, but she pressed down hard enough to leave a mark, hard enough to make her intention clear. Lorenzo's breath caught. His arms crushed her close. Again. Mark me again. She bit harder. Left teeth marks scattered across his shoulder and chest. Lorenzo groaned, and suddenly she was beneath him again. He spread her thighs and entered her in one smooth thrust. I need you again. Already. This time was different. More urgent. Less controlled. Lorenzo moved with single-minded focus. His hand found her center and worked her expertly while his body drove into hers. Sabrina came first, fast and sharp. Lorenzo followed immediately, burying himself deep and spilling inside her while groaning against her marked shoulder. When they finally stilled, Lorenzo rolled them carefully, keeping them joined, arranging Sabrina on top of him. Sleep. Rest. We have all night and I intend to use it. All night? She felt his smile against her hair. Did you think once or twice would be enough? Sabrina, I have 3 years of wanting stored up. A shiver of anticipation ran through her exhausted body. Good. Neither am I. Sabrina woke later to sensation. Lorenzo's hands on her body, his mouth on her breasts, his obvious readiness pressing against her thigh. Again? Again. I warned you. This time he took her from behind, pulled her to her hands and knees and entered her from an angle that made her see stars. His hands gripped her hips, set a pace that was both punishing and perfect. This is what I wanted the first moment I saw you. I wanted to bend you over and claim you, wanted to mark you so thoroughly that every wolf would know you belonged to me. Then why did you not? Because I wanted you to choose it. I wanted you to want me as much as I wanted you. I do want you, oh Lorenzo. She came hard. Lorenzo followed her over immediately, groaning her name as he filled her again. They collapsed sideways, still joined. How many times is that? Not enough. Never enough. Near dawn, they finally lay still. Sabrina draped across Lorenzo's chest, his fingers tracing idle patterns on her back. The pack will know. They will hear, or see the marks. Good. Let them know. Let them understand exactly how wrong they were. Sabrina smiled against his skin. No regrets? My only regret is that I wasted 3 years believing I might never find someone compatible. And now? Now I have you, and I will spend the rest of my life proving that patience was worth it. He kissed her thoroughly. They said I could not please a woman. Tomorrow they will see exactly how pleased you are. Tomorrow they will be shocked. Tomorrow they will learn that rumors mean nothing compared to truth. And the truth is that I am very capable. You are the proof. Sabrina felt the truth of that in every pleasantly aching muscle, in every bite, mark, and bruise. We should sleep. The pack will expect us at the morning meal. They can wait. I am not finished with you yet. Lorenzo. Sabrina. He rolled them until she was beneath him again, already hard despite everything. One more time. I need one more time before I have to share you with the pack. His mouth found hers, his body pressed into hers, and Sabrina surrendered willingly to one final claim before dawn. Chapter 7. When morning finally arrived, Sabrina woke up, wrapped in Lorenzo's arms. His body is warm against her back. His hand rested possessively on her bare hip. She had never felt safer, never felt more wanted. She shifted slightly. Good morning. His voice rumbled through his chest. How do you feel? Sabrina considered it honestly. Her body ached everywhere. Pleasant soreness that spoke of thorough use. The bonding mark on her shoulder throbbed. Bite marks scattered across her skin. Bruises on her hips where Lorenzo had gripped her. Evidence. proof that could not be denied. I feel claimed. His laugh was warm. You are claimed. Thoroughly. Can you manage once more? I know you are sore. Yes. Because despite the ache, she wanted him. I wanted the connection. He entered her from behind, slow and careful because she was tender, but no less intense. His hand worked between her thighs, building pleasure gradually until she came with a soft cry. Lorenzo followed, burying himself deep and groaning against her neck as he filled her one final time. Now we can face the pack. They bathed together in the attached washing room. Lorenzo carefully cleaned dried blood from her shoulder, pressed apologetic kisses to bruises he had left. You wear my claim beautifully. So do you. Sabrina touched the teeth marks she had left on his shoulder. Everyone will see these. Good. Let them see that you claimed me as thoroughly as I claimed you. They dressed in simple clothes. The bonding mark on Sabrina's shoulder was completely visible, unmistakable, fresh. Lorenzo wore a simple shirt that could not hide the marks Sabrina had left. When they emerged and began the walk back to the main pack house, Sabrina was aware of every ache, every reminder of the night before. Lorenzo took her hand, squeezed once, steadying her. Then they entered the dining hall together. Conversation stopped. Every eye turned to Sabrina's visible bonding mark, fresh and raw, to Lorenzo's shoulder covered in bite marks and scratches, to the way they moved together, close, comfortable, to the satisfied exhaustion written clearly on both faces, to the way Lorenzo's hand rested possessively on Sabrina's lower back, to the way Sabrina leaned into his touch without hesitation. Bianca and Marisol sat frozen, mouths open in shock. Council Elder Thaddeus Kane nodded once. Approval is clear. Beta Callan Christensen grinned openly. But the Omegas Lillian, Kinley, Caroline stared with complete confusion. Lorenzo guided Sabrina to the head table, seated her in Luna's place, then sat beside her close enough that their shoulders touched. The whispers started immediately. They look. Did you see the marks? Both of them. The rumors were completely wrong. Caroline Lambert approached carefully, carrying tea. Her eyes took in every visible mark, every sign of thorough claiming. May I? Please, Sabrina said. Caroline sat, studied Sabrina's face carefully, the satisfied glow, the pleasant exhaustion, then glanced at Lorenzo before looking back. You are, well? Very well. Then Sabrina smiled slowly. Extremely well. Caroline's eyes widened. She looked at Lorenzo again with new understanding. I see. The words spread through the dining hall like wildfire. By the time the morning meal ended, every wolf had noticed, had observed, had begun questioning years of accepted belief, because the evidence was impossible to deny. Their Alpha King and his new Luna had spent their bonding night doing exactly what bonding nights were meant for. Repeatedly, enthusiastically, thoroughly, and both looked extremely satisfied with the results. Chapter 8. The days following brought subtle but definite changes. Wolves regarded their Alpha King and Luna differently, not with pity, but with curiosity, respect. One morning, nearly a week later, Lillian Patterson approached Sabrina in the gardens. May I speak plainly? Please. We were told you would survive the bonding but not enjoy it. But you seem content. More than content. I am. So the rumors about Lorenzo were false? Completely false. Lillian laughed quietly. We feel foolish now. Years of believing he was incapable, when really he was just selective. Lorenzo requires authentic consent and genuine partnership. Those are strengths, not weaknesses. And you are that partner? We are equals, chosen. Lillian smiled. The pack is beginning to understand that now. 2 weeks after the bonding, Lorenzo called a formal pack gathering. Hundreds of wolves filled the great hall. Lorenzo stood before them, Sabrina at his side. For 3 years, rumors have circulated about my capacity for intimacy. Those rumors were rooted in a misunderstanding. My previous intention and I were incompatible. When she left, she told a story that protected her pride, but damaged my reputation. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I never corrected those rumors because defending myself felt less important than maintaining pack stability. But now, bonded to a true partner, I want to set the record clear. His hand found Sabrina's. I require authentic consent and genuine partnership. Those are not weaknesses. Luna Sabrina understands this. She meets me as an equal, questions me when appropriate, challenges me when necessary. Together, we are stronger than either of us could be alone. Lorenzo's eyes swept the gathered pack. That is what true bonding looks like. Not conquest, not dominance. But I chose partnership. The silence felt weighted, thoughtful. Then Beta Callan began to clap, slow, deliberate. Others joined, building into full pack approval. When the gathering dispersed, multiple wolves approached Sabrina, offering respect, acknowledging her strength. She realized that by choosing Lorenzo and being chosen by him, she had not just gained a mate. She had redefined what Luna meant. 3 weeks after the bonding ceremony, Sabrina woke Lorenzo already awake beside her. He watched her with a softer expression than his usual control. "What are you thinking?" "That waiting was necessary, because it brought me to you." Sabrina shifted closer, pressed her lips to his jaw. "The pack has accepted us, accepted the truth. Because you showed them strength they did not expect. You did not try to dominate or prove yourself loudly. You simply existed as yourself. Confidence. Unbending. We learn from each other." They made love again slow and thorough. 3 weeks of practice had taught them exactly how to move together. Afterward, lying tangled, Sabrina asked, "What happens now? We are bonded. The pack accepts us. What comes next?" "We build something lasting. Not just between us, but for the pack. We show them that leadership based on partnership is stronger than leadership based on dominance alone." "Evolution," Sabrina murmured. "Slow. Intentional. Like everything else we do." She smiled against his chest. "I can work with that." Chapter 9. 6 months after the bonding ceremony, Sabrina stood in the council chamber beside Lorenzo, addressing visiting alphas from neighboring territories. She wore Luna authority comfortably now, spoke with confidence earned through action. The visiting alphas treated her with genuine respect. After the meeting, Elder Thaddeus Kane approached them both. "Luna has adapted remarkably." "Luna was always remarkable," Lorenzo replied. "We simply failed to recognize it initially." Thaddeus nodded. "The pack is stronger for bonding. Wolves see their alpha differently now." "Partnership does that," Sabrina said. "It softens edges, without removing strength." Later, in their shared chambers, Lorenzo pulled Sabrina against his chest. "Do you ever regret it? Being bound to a male with a complicated reputation? Never. Do you regret binding to an Omega who questioned everything? Not for a single moment." They had fallen into comfortable patterns. 6 months of intimacy had taught them how to communicate without words. Now, Sabrina could arch into his touch, and he would understand. Could press closer, and he would respond. Could whisper his name, and he would give her exactly what she needed. "Tell me something. If Hazley had not left, if you had bonded to her instead, I would have honored the bond, but I would not have been happy. We were wrong for each other. She wanted conquest. I wanted a connection. And with me? With you I have both." He kissed her shoulder, her jaw, her mouth. "You challenge me. You match me. You make me better. The feeling is mutual." They made love again, still discovering. After 6 months, intimacy felt both familiar and endlessly new. 1 year after the bonding ceremony, the pack gathered for celebration. For marking the anniversary of Lorenzo and Sabrina's union, Caroline Lambert approached Sabrina during the festivities, smiling genuinely. "A year ago, I warned you to expect survival rather than passion. I apologize for that assumption. You believed what the pack believed. No apology needed. Still, I should have trusted that Lorenzo knew himself better than gossip knew him." Caroline raised her glass. "To partnerships that redefine power." They drank together. Across the hall, Lorenzo stood with Beta Callan and pack leadership. but his eyes tracked Sabrina constantly, protective, proud, possessive in the best way. When their eyes met across the crowded space, he smiled. Small, private, meant only for her. Sabrina felt the bond between them warm and strengthened, felt his love through the connection they shared. A year ago, she had been warned not to expect passion. Now she could not imagine life without it. Late that night, after celebrations ended, Lorenzo removed his formal jacket and approached where Sabrina stood by the window. "What are you thinking?" "That everyone who assumed you were cold and distant and incapable was completely wrong. And what am I instead?" She turned in his arms. "You are patient, intentional. You are a male who waits for what matters and gives everything when it arrives." Lorenzo's smile turned wolfish. "And you matter, Sabrina Spears, more than anything." "Prove it," she challenged. So he did. Not with haste, not with hunger, but with certainty. Lorenzo guided Sabrina into the private chamber prepared for their bonding. Every movement, measured. Every touch, intentional. He showed her patience she had never been taught to expect, and confidence that needed no force to prove itself. When the chamber doors finally closed behind them, the world outside ceased to matter. By the time dawn approached, Sabrina understood the truth no whisper had ever captured. The pack had been wrong about Lorenzo, completely wrong, and she had discovered it in the only place truth could not hide. The next morning, Sabrina woke to find Lorenzo already dressed, standing by the window watching dawn break across the valley. "Cannot sleep? Too content to waste time sleeping. I keep thinking about how close I came to never finding you, to spend my life alone because no one understood what I needed." Sabrina rose and joined him, wrapped her arms around him from behind. "But you did find me. We found each other." "We did." He covered her hands with his. "And I will spend the rest of my life proving that the wait was worth it." "You have already proven that. Then I will prove it again. Until you are as certain of my devotion as I am of yours." Sabrina smiled against his back. Challenge accepted. Below them, the pack began to stir. Wolves emerging for morning routines. Pack business resuming. Life continues. But everything had changed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But fundamentally, because their Alpha King and Luna had proven that strength came in unexpected forms. That partnership mattered more than dominance. That choosing carefully was wiser than taking quickly. The whispers had been wrong. The rumors had been lies. And the truth was better than any story the pack could have invented. Lorenzo Spears was not cold. He was on fire waiting for the right spark. And Sabrina Morris had been exactly that spark. Together, they burned bright enough to redefine everything. Thank you for staying until the end. Stories about restraint, devotion, and misunderstood power are what Cold Blood Empire is all about. If this story moved you, please subscribe, like, and share. And tell me in the comments, was the Alpha King misunderstood, or was he always exactly what she needed? Until the next story, stay loyal, stay dangerous. Welcome to Cold Blood Empire.